The sweety, steely Miss Marple began her career as a singing star of popular musicals. She reinvented herself and became a Bond girl and Queen Elizabeth's body double in her 70s. She was the last British actress to step into the role of Agatha Christie's spinster sleuth and managed to make a mark of her own. "I'm feeling more alive than I have for a long time," she said at 82. This is the fascinating life story of Julia McKenzie.
Not quite the gentle, fluffy old lady you look, are you?
I don't know whether to take that as a compliment.
You can take it any way you like.
Would you agree that the fictional character of Miss Marple is one of the quintessential images of Britain? Everyone feels so protective of her image that this role could make or break an actress that would attempt to play the sweety Victorian-born lady. And yet, what happened to Julia McKenzie was pretty exciting. Born in 1941, Julia grew up in Enfield, Middlesex, the daughter of a wax accountant father and dinner lady mother. Mackenzie was a bit of a show-off as a child, thanks to her love to the theatre, and yet her path to the stage wasn't that straightforward. "I was advised to go into teaching, like so many girls back then." Mackenzie obeyed and headed for a career as a French teacher.
Nous avons traversé le channel et we cannot traverser back parce que la merde
La mer
est rough.
It's not half as rough as your French, darling.
Luckily, the destiny had different plans on her. One day, a county music advisor from Middlesex heard her sing a solo at a school speech day. Right there, on the spot, he promised to give her a 4-year opera scholarship if she could get through the entrance exams at the Guildhall School of Music and Drama. What a flattering and, at the same time, overwhelming turn, right? Julia hesitated yet decided to give it a try. "Well, I didn't come from that sort of a background at all. I couldn't read music well, and I was still not good at it even after 4 years of studying. But I got in, and that changed my life." No, she didn't become an opera singer, and she was thankful for that, I suppose. Mackenzie admitted that it was then, at the Guildhall, she realized that opera wasn't for her. She was glued to the art of acting instead.
Hi, you there. Hi.
You're calling me?
Of course I was calling you. Who do you think I was calling? A cat?
The transition was gradual. First, she gravitated from opera to operetta, then shifted to musicals, which brought her to the stage of the West End, where in 1966 she debuted in Maggie May, the Lionel Bart musical about a Liverpool prostitute dyeing her hair red to appear grown up. 3 years later, she performed in the famous Mame, and then in 1971 followed the first London production of Stephen Sondheim's Company, which made Julia McKenzie a true star of the genre.
You really do have great control and great,
Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
enormous volume too when you want to use it.
Thank you.
The other remarkable thing about her voice is her chest voice and her head voice are equally powerful. She can sing soprano up to a high B flat. She sings a duet from West Side Story in Side by Side by Sondheim. And at the same time, she can do any belt number you can give her. And she's just a remarkable voice, just remarkable.
In 1977, Mackenzie was nominated for a Tony Award as Best Actress in a Musical for Side by Side by the same Sondheim, and 5 years later, in 1982, received her first Olivier Award for Guys and Dolls. She won an Evening Standard Award for Best Actress for her role in Woman in Mind. Then there followed Follies, Into the Woods, and in 1993, Mackenzie played the iconic part of Mrs. Lovett, one of musical theatre's most delicious roles from Sweeney Todd, the demon barber of Fleet Street.
Oh! A customer. Oh, wait!
She won a second Olivier Award for Best Actress in a Musical for this part in 1994. By the way, Angela Lansbury also starred in Sweeney Todd 20 years before Mackenzie. Have you seen any of them on stage? Please share your recollections in the comments.
Sorry, darling.
What have you been doing?
Well, I had to phone Mother to remind her to pay the milkman, and then Sonia to say I might be a bit late for the class.
Surprised you didn't phone Emma.
Oh, heavens, thanks for reminding me.
Stay where you are.
Mackenzie made quite a few film appearances, yet it was the 1980s TV sitcom Fresh Fields that brought her mainstream fame. She was playing Hester, the quirky middle-class housewife, a role for which she was voted TV Time's favorite female comedy performance for 5 consecutive years.
I made the mistake of asking my husband to collect the turkey on his way home.
Same here.
They really are useless, aren't they?
Absolutely. Shall we swap?
Yes, why not? Yours looks more intelligent than mine.
Together with her husband and a lifelong partner, American actor-director Jerry Hart, they didn't have children of their own. Julia said this fact was unfortunate, but she has always found a family of sorts in theatre companies. And Mackenzie, in turn, definitely became a family for millions of viewers of her Marple and gangster granny who steals the crown jewels.
Madam, I demand to...
Mr. Parker, I am in the middle of my tree pose.
Where are the jewels?
What are you talking about?
Hand them over.
The starring role in the 2013 BBC film made her highly popular among kids and, for some, even outshined her Marple appearance, which happened right before it. I got to ride a mobility scooter over Tower Bridge. How many people can say that?
You're a gangster. Gangster granny, that's right.
And yet, unlike many other famous actresses from the same vanishing breed, Mackenzie grew tired of acting on stage. I sort of got disenchanted, I suppose, she said when she turned 68. I never thought I would hear myself say that, but I didn't realize how much it would take out of me physically as I got older. It's too much. Julia told her agent to turn down all offers to act on stage and announced her plans to concentrate on television.
It is a rather fanciful story.
If you were to exhume the body and give it a proper post-mortem examination...
Thank you very much for your suggestion, Mrs. Marple.
It's Miss Marple, damn it.
And now we've come to the role that made Julia McKenzie famous among TV audiences on both sides of the Atlantic. She played a Normative sleuth, an elderly spinster from St. Mary Mead, Miss Jane Marple, in Agatha Christie's Marple from 2009 till 2013. I'm very excited, but also slightly daunted by the enormous responsibility that comes with taking on such an iconic role. That was Mackenzie's understated reply. Just about everybody in the world knows about Miss Marple and has an opinion of what she should be like, so I'm under no illusions about the size of the task ahead. Oh, indeed, that was quite something. Especially if you are 7th in line to put on this mask of the nation's one of the most protected fictional character. Imagine each and every time I make a video about Miss Marple actresses, everyone has a different and sometimes really harsh and unapologetic opinion of who is the best actress. I personally belong to the cohort that believes that all of them managed to contribute something of their own, and that it will be boring to watch one and the same acting interpretation during all the incarnations on screen. Would you agree? And yes, the same debates surround the role of Poirot, and Sherlock Holmes too, I guess. Well, at least Agatha Christie's grandson Matthew Pritchard believed that Julia McKenzie had exactly the right balance of sympathy and intelligence, and that she will become a Miss Marple to rank with the very best. By the way, Marple wasn't Julia's first engagement with Agatha Christie universe of characters. In the beginning of the 21st century, she played Ariadne Oliver in radio adaptations of Agatha Christie novels starring John Moffat as Hercule Poirot. Getting back to that fresh-filled series, curiously, Mackenzie spent 5 years in the role of Hester Fields, and the same 5 years wearing Miss Marple's hat. At one point, they were showing reruns of Freshfields during the day and Miss Marple in the evening. That's quite an experience, seeing yourself on the screen with 30 years difference between parts. The young me was so long ago, it felt like I was watching someone else. And that, obviously, wasn't too easy for an actress who, of course, would have lied if said that she wasn't bothered by transferring to another category simply because she was growing older.
Perhaps you were confused. Sometimes, Miss Marple, as one gets older...
As one gets older, Doctor, sometimes one gets wiser.
Mackenzie once confessed what she thought of all that buttocks and facelifting. I told my husband I might have this fixed, and he said, "You will not." I never did. I have the wrinkles to prove it.
Why did she pretend to sprain her ankle?
Maybe she didn't want to kiss you.
What makes you think I tried?
I'm not batty, remember, Luke?
No, Jane.
In addition to coping with her own aging and the rival actresses who played the role before her, Julia had to find a way to deal with the duality of the character conceived by Agatha Christie herself. I talked about it in my video comparison of Miss Marple actresses. She noted that it was difficult because Agatha Christie wrote her in 2 ways. First, a slight, rather Victorian creature, then a little sturdy and tweedier. I chose the latter. A lot of people say they don't like the tweedier version, but they are both genuine.
Do you think anyone could possibly guess, Jane, that you and I are practically the same age?
Not for a moment, I'm sure. I'm afraid, you see, I look every minute of my age.
No.
Perhaps the multiple tweaks to the original plots introduced by the producers and screenwriters helped her navigate that extra demanding role in her own way. By the time they finished serious production, they ran out of initial Marple stories and even used some other Agatha Christie mysteries and sort of implanted her character in them. Like in Why Didn't They Ask Evans, for example.
You seem to know all about it, Miss Marple.
I just observed, dear.
Then perhaps you tell us what you've observed, and I'll tell you if you're right.
TV ratings showed considerable interest for the episodes, which eventually was fading and losing its battle for the new and fresh Downton Abbey. Moreover, right at that time, ITV's rights for the series had expired, and now BBC won an exclusive deal to show Agatha Christie whodunits. So the wrap-up for Julia McKenzie in that part corresponded with the organic decline in acute interest for another revival of Miss Marple's storyline. I had such a wonderful time doing it, but I think it's run its course, the actress said. As a side note, Poirot as well finished in 2013 after 13 seasons. Mackenzie revealed that she was afraid Miss Marple would be her last role. It's a risk when you play such an iconic character. You think, well, this will be it. I'll never be cast in anything else again. Well, that wasn't true for her. It's curious, just like it happened with many other Marple actresses before her, this role gifted Julia McKenzie her second or maybe even third renaissance. It's a funny thing about acting, you know, when you get the part and you're my age, you drop 10 years just like that. Acting makes you feel young again. Unlike several of her predecessors, Mackenzie was ready to take part in new adventures after Marple, which she proved with Gangster Granny and The Casual Vacancy, the TV version of the first novel by J.K. Rowling outside the Harry Potter universe, which she published under pen name of Robert Galbraith. There, Mackenzie played a spiteful social climber, the mother-in-law from hell and one of the village's leading lights, as she described the character herself.
Do you mind telling me what you think you're doing?
Oh, well, I'm checking your history. Online.
Oh, you think I'm the ghost?
Well, you do have a gift for sabotage.
Amusingly, this role was violently different from the types of characters she generally used to play before. I was amazed I got the part. I'm normally offered something where I hold a duster in my hand, so it was nice to be offered a different sort of role. It's tempting to think that actors are just like their fictional characters, especially if they spent years in their shoes. When it comes to Julia, her image often falls into that trap of being typecast as a sweet little grandma. Yet in reality, that notion was always quite against the hair for the actress. Someone once described me as an amiable pug. I'm not sure about that.
A woman?
Are you quite sure?
I may not know a great deal about men and women, Miss Marple, but I can still tell the difference.
Luckily, she had another chance to make something out of the box. Another highly unusual engagement happened a year before the end of ITV's Miss Marple in 2012. I guess many of you watched the spectacular opening ceremony at the London Olympics. Well, there was this sudden appearance of Queen Elizabeth II in James Bond style. Well, obviously the actual Queen did appear in the footage. No AI that good was there at the time, thankfully. I guess everyone realized she didn't do all the tricks herself. Well, now tell me, write in the comments, did you know that it was Julia McKenzie we saw playing Her Majesty in most of the footage in the palace? Apparently, she left it a bit late in her career to be a Bond girl, as Mackenzie joked herself, yet the experience was worth the wait. We filmed over a few days at Buckingham Palace, and I couldn't breathe a word to anyone, Julia recalled. Interestingly, she denied meeting the Queen then. We filmed our bits separately. I was asked if I wanted to meet her, and I have met her before, but I declined this time. It would have been a great honor, but not when I was dressed as her. It would have been too odd coming face to face with the Queen while dressed as the Queen to play her. I just couldn't do it. She would return to Buckingham Palace 6 years later in 2018 to collect a CBE, Commander of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire, for services to drama, presented by Charles, then Prince of Wales. What a broad range of sparkling roles after the iconic Marple, right? And yet, suddenly, in 2016, Julia McKenzie decided to bring the curtain down on her illustrious career. Unfortunately, her husband, Jerry Hart, became gravely ill, and she thought there was just no question of her continuing to work. Alas, nothing can change the inevitable course of time. Hart died 2 years later in 2018, and Julia was devastated with grief. She couldn't even imagine herself returning to the stage. I didn't really feel like it at all. I decided to stay at our little house in Devon, where Jerry died. Time runs fast, and we can't stop it and freeze the moment, even just for a bit. And yet, it's time again that heals our souls, n'est-ce pas? It's amusing that Mackenzie's career was inaugurated by Sondheim's musical, and now it came to laurel her achievement in this genre. When in 2022 they decided to set Stephen Sondheim's old friends, producers immediately called for Mackenzie. In that one-night gala, Julia appeared only in a couple of numbers on stage. Her voice is obviously not as strong as it used to be in her younger years, yet she became the co-director and the invaluable source of hands-on past practice, an example which she shared with the younger generation of performers during the 2023 16-week run of the show. That was a joy both for Julia and the actors and singers she worked with. No wonder Mackenzie shared that until today this music sits in her bones, soul and muscle memory. Perhaps we can hope Julia McKenzie comes back with some new spark on screen. Now she is 83, and who knows what the future holds for all of us right there just around the corner. At least she confessed that she does feel things blossoming. I'm feeling more alive than I have for a long time. I love these words which she picked to close up one of her latest interviews. Actors never retire. We just make an exit and close the door. Thank you so much for spending these minutes with me tonight, watching another episode about the great actors we cherish and love. Take care, and I hope to see you in my other videos. Bye!
It's been a great pleasure to know you.
It's been a great pleasure to know you too, Miss Marple.